huzzas to Michelle and Andrea. Yes. Kenneth, behave. All right, number one, don't forget pictures, everybody. We've been having an incredible slew of pictures this summer. Absolutely wild slew of pictures. Yes, so continue to have them come. All right, number two, let me remind everybody, this is not just a Zoom group. You're welcome to, if there's an issue that comes along and you want to share, if there's something you want to talk about, give me an email or text and I will set up a time. We do pastoral care too. I mean, that's not just something, it's not Sunday mornings. Many of you and I have talked along the sides. You know, it's there. Anytime you need something, just we'll arrange an appointment. You know, it's there to talk, to give you support. We do a very informal joys and concerns. Let me remind you, if there's something you want me to hold up before announcements, just send it to me. If there's somebody you're concerned about, just send it to me. Some of you have been in congregations where they do a joys and concerns and it gets out of control. It goes absolutely insane. Somebody will get up and they mean to say something and 15 minutes later, they're still talking. And I'm not joking. So if you have something, we want to lift up something. Absolutely. There's a concern you want to share, just let me know. And before we do greetings and announcement, we'll share it with the whole congregation. Marcelo and Belkis are now living in Holly Springs. Many of you remember their kids. They attended all the time. We were at the JCC. Last night, 2 weeks ago, Marcelo called and said, we're having a 20th wedding anniversary. Do you think we can do a renewal of vows? Now, they're in Holly Springs. Serge, who's their best friend, is in Sedona, out in the middle of the wilds. And I'm in Miami, which is now the hottest place on the planet next to, Next to the Persian Gulf, I think.
Kuwait.
Kuwait, yes, Kuwait.
No,
so
Kuwait was 127 degrees yesterday.
They beat it. All right. So guess what? We did a renewal of vows last night. By Zoom. Serge was in Sedona, I was here in the oven, and they were up at Holly Springs. And so just remind yourself, if something comes up, we are not limited by distance. I cannot stress that enough. We are not limited by distance. Okay. Finally, there has been a lot of stuff about Christianity lately. Let me point out, if this is your version of Jesus with painted hair, a coiffed beard, looking like he is a salesman for real estate in the Hamptons, this is not the Jesus that we know here. If this is what you're looking for, you've got the wrong congregation. This is, I don't know what this is, but this is very, very popular right now. If that's your Jesus, then I suggest you go down the street. The one we know is a very poor, very uncoiffed, very, very, very much a hardworking laborer as a carpenter who was middle-aged and working hard in very rural areas of the Galilee. So one final comment. If you are looking for a congregation of straight people only, this is not your place. If you're looking for people who are absolutely 100% healthy in body, mind, and spirit, this is not your place. This is not a museum. If you're looking for people who have all kinds of issues, neurodivergent, AA members of all kinds, if you're looking for people who are single, looking for people who are gay, looking for people who are trans, looking for people who are, this is who and what we are, and you are more than welcome. If that's not what you're looking for, please go down the street, make yourself at home in the museum. Meanwhile, we will trudge along being who and what we are day by day. One last comment, if you can remember, we have a lot of people who are very, very much living paycheck to paycheck. You do not have to pay to belong to All Souls. There is not a membership fee to All Souls. But for the rest of you who have any ability to share, we deeply, deeply appreciate it because it's on your voluntary gifts that we're able to do what we do. And for that, we're grateful. But again, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, all you need to do is remember we keep you in our hearts and hope you can get the next paycheck. All right, let us continue then. Our music. Oh, wait a minute. Lighting of the memorial candle. Let us remember again those who got shot at this week. those who died this week. Let us remember, if you will, the lady who was displaying a pride flag. She wasn't an LGBTQ, but she displayed in support of and was shot to death. Let us also remember those who are still trying to figure out who is alive and who is not in Maui. And let us remember all the places on this planet which have no air conditioning and little water, and the people are in tremendous stress. Let us hold them all close, their relatives, their families, and all. Hold them close. May it be so. Amen. And if you will, Donald, our introit from the First Unitarian Church of Baltimore. I would invite those of you who wish to share with me in reading together the call to worship. It is now, when we are called as witnesses of the world, to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now that we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us gather then. Let us give each other courage. Let us worship. And for those of you who wish, if you say the morning prayer with me, God of many names and no names, ground of our being, help us to remember that we live in and into community, with all that means. Let us keep in mind always the 7 generations to come beyond our time on this earth, and let our actions be guided by all those thoughts. God of our hearts, bless us with fortitude, wisdom, and joy on the journey. Amen. Andrea will be doing our first reading today by Caitlin Saida. I'm sure I mispronounced that name correctly. Andrea, if you would.
Our first reading is Hope is Not a Bird, Emily. It's a Sewer Rat by Caitlin Saida. Hope is not the thing with feathers that comes home to roost when you need it most. Hope is an ugly thing with teeth and claws and patchy fur that's seen some shit. It's what thrives in the discards and survives in the ugliest parts of our world, able to find a way to go on when nothing else can even find a way in. It's the gritty, nasty little carrier of such diseases as optimism, persistence, perseverance, and joy, transmissible as it drags its tail across your path and bites you. Hope is not some delicate, beautiful bird, Emily. It's a lowly little sewer rat that snorts pesticides like they were lines of coke and still shows up on time to work the next day, looking no worse for wear.
The responsive reading today, I'm going to ask you to read the words in green, if you wish. Grief will come to you. Grip and cling all you want. It makes no difference. Catastrophe, it's just waiting to happen. Loss, you can be certain of it. Flow and swirl of the world, carried along as if by a dark current. All you can do is keep swimming. All you can do is keep singing. And again, reading this morning is Andrea.
Our second reading comes from Madeline L'Engle. It's an excerpt entitled A Stone for a Pillow. When I walk my dog at night, the route on the way home takes me past a Buddhist temple with a terrace on which stands a huge statue of Saint Shenron Shonin, a Buddhist saint of the 12th century. This particular statue was in Hiroshima when the bomb fell and was sent by the Buddhists of that city to the Buddhists in New York as a symbol of forgiveness and hope. And each night as I walk my dog, I walk by that great statue, the huge bulk of metal wearing a patina I have never seen on another statue. I say, good night, Saint Shenron. Forgive us and help us.
And for our third reading, she is our official community affiliated minister. She's already doing a lot of work. Andrea, if you would finish out the third reading for us. Thank you.
Sure thing. Be my pleasure. Our third and last reading comes from Andrea Cohen, and it's entitled Explanation, Hiroshima. You have to explain to the new girl, you always do, to the one who means staying late to scrub the stain from the marble stair displayed at the museum. You have to explain that the darkness is not a stain she can erase. Rather, it's shade and shadow, a stranglehold that's all that's left of a girl and a boy who sat on the school stair as children do and vanished. You have to explain. We guard the stain.
What does it mean to be an activist? That is our question guiding today's share. Activism begins at home, in the family, in the body. The body is a microcosm of the larger universe, as the family is a microcosm of the global community. Activism also begins in the now, the present moment, the only moment we ever have. As Reverend Dr. Tanya Marquez said in our call to worship today, it is now when we are called as witnesses of the world to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now when we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we are called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. We are the people the world needs right now. We were built for this moment. We are equipped with everything we need in our minds and our hearts to enact a better present and a better future. Activism requires leadership. Activists are leaders, waypointers. We can point a finger toward the arc of justice and keep pointing towards it with our actions and our words. Leadership also means knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to move forward and when to move back. This means we must understand the concepts of privilege and consider who holds the most power in any given circumstance, and use that knowledge to elevate the voices of those with less power. It is also important to remember the idea of nothing about us without us. We cannot pretend to know the needs of any given group without being part of it and being in relationship with that group. This is one of the things I love most about our congregation here at All Souls. We do build relationship with many marginalized groups within our congregation. At its heart, this is what activism is really about. It's being in relationship and in conversation with our communities. Also, the older I get, the more convinced I am that the soul of relationship is learning to speak less and listen more. And really listening to understand other people's perspectives without simultaneously formulating our response to what we're hearing, to allowing our defenses to be activated and to speaking from there. Engaging in debate is not building relationship. Debates have their rhetorical uses and spaces, and that space is not one of creating connection. And this is something that I struggle with, this upcoming topic. What does it mean to be woke? After all, words matter, and words have power, great power. Claiming the word woke has become trendy in some ways and in some spaces. It's easy to declare that one is woke and wear the word like a badge of honor, as a neon sign that proclaims one's virtuosity. I myself don't know if I'm really woke. I think sometimes people see wokeness as a static thing, as in once one is there, they've achieved a pinnacle of virtue. The problem for me here is that then it becomes a feat of ego rather than a burning flame for justice that we feed and keep alive. I think of wokeness as an aspirational goal for myself, because I know I'm still working through my own internalized isms, all of them, right? Racism, classism, sexism, and more. I'm still finding my own nexus of privilege and power and where it intersects with my own marginalized statuses and untangling the ways in which I participate in systems of oppression. It's the water we swim in. It's the water we've been swimming in since we entered this world, all of us. It is a lifetime's work, and therein is the key, I think. We each must do our own work to get closer to the goal. Manipulating language for personal ends happens all the time in all kinds of situations and is most dangerous, I think, in matters of politics and social justice. I believe the word woke can be employed in genuine ways, ways that are meaningful and deep. And it's often abused by those who have no real interest in seeing social justice enacted. So I ask that we think about word warriors versus real activists. And the difference is the willingness to become uncomfortable, to be compassionate in the sense of suffering with others in solidarity, entering into the space they are, to give up our own privilege in the interest of elevating our siblings around the world. Activism centers orthopraxy, which simply means correct conduct in an ethical and liturgical sense. Being an activist in the practical sense means centering your values and living from that. It also means placing your focus outside of yourself. And again, that's hard. I struggle with it. It's hard. This may seem contradictory, what I'm saying. Living into your values, after all, comes from within, right? It is, as we say in recovery communities, an inside job. And it also involves doing what is best for your communities of care. Our communities of care are ever expanding circles of involvement, from your immediate circle of friends and family to your neighbors, to your state, country, and world. It also includes the communities within the natural world, the tree clans, the stone people, the insect populations, the ocean depths, all of creation. As we see the effects of climate change in the increased storm activities, fires, mudslides, and increasing temperatures on land and in our seas, we experience the immediacy of the fact that we cannot wait another moment to act in any way we can so that there will be a livable world for the 7 generations to come. The Haudenosaunee, in their 7-generation philosophy, the Iroquois Confederacy, express this wisdom of 7th generational thinking, that we are connected to a community that transcends time. As Rick Hill Sr. of the Tuscarora tribe put it in a PBS special on that very concept. Activism makes life meaningful. Even if we are down in the hole at the bottom of the well, we can begin to inch our way out by doing concrete things that relate to our values and help in whatever small way to make the world a little bit better. The sewer rat of hope, my personal champion, resides in that deep, dark well of despair and fear, existing in spite of all the ugliness and the toxicity, prodding us along to make the next move, take the next right action, thus imparting its transmissible diseases of optimism, persistence, perseverance, and joy. Indeed, the sewer rat of hope is perhaps the superhero we need to see embodied today. So, activism helps make the world at large better, and it also makes our own individual lives better. These things are intertwined. Human beings need purpose to be happy and content, I believe. By purpose, I don't mean work. I don't mean gainful employment. I simply mean putting our individual gifts to work for the benefit of our world. And this can happen in so many ways. Not all of us, myself included, can grab a bullhorn and march in the streets, or can risk arrest. Our bodies and lives have different capabilities, and we have to make our efforts sustainable. So I try to think about how I can be an activist in my everyday life, in all of my interactions with living beings. For example, I try to remember to be kind to every being I encounter during any given day, no matter where I personally am at that day, because I think kindness is contagious. And in that small way, I can contribute to the common good. Ripples in the water continue on, picking up momentum along the way, and this too is activism. Those small acts that we put out there, they gain momentum. A water metaphor is apt, I think. Water dripping on a stone will eventually wear it down to a smooth pebble, no longer an impediment to the flow of justice rolling down like waters. Water can and does, after all, over time, drop by drop, wear away mountains and wash away valleys. The word activism implies acting, a generative motion. This means it's more than words. Words matter, and words certainly are part of activism, but it's not the only thing. Armchair activism, which I see so readily on social media, is a passive form if it's not supported by further actions, by the things that we do to make those ideas concrete. Activism is about being a good and a faithful servant of the global community, because we are all in this together, in the here and the now and the generations to come, to whom we do owe something important, to try to leave to them the basis for a sustainable societal model and a living world. Let us also remember our history as we safeguard the future, that we guard the stains, the marks of war and deprivation, like those at the steps of Hiroshima, the patina on the statue that withstood the bomb, so that we never forget the horrors of which we are all capable. Mercy, mercy to all of us. Bless you, Marvin Gaye, for all of us. Let us listen carefully to our modern day prophets and seers, the Marvin Gayes and the Woody Guthries of our time, as they call out the injustices and point the way to a better world. The wisdom really is within us. We have but to listen. May it be so, and may we be the ones to make it so. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
He did not star in Bridgerton. He was not excellent at mani-pedis and wearing pure white raiment. He did not go around with the wealthy, didn't drive BMWs or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or the $150,000 Tesla. He, by all accounts from the beginning, was a very simple carpenter's son who did very annoying things. He met with lepers and was annoyed at the fact that the only one who said thank you was a Samaritan. Bad Samaritans. The only one who said thank you. He was having thirst and he was at a well and he asked a Samaritan woman if she would give him some water. No, bad. You get fired for that. The board's not going to like that. He was in Jericho, and the chief tax collector, who got that way by bribing, was a man of small stature and made money by skimming and scamming. And he says to this man sitting in a tree, hey, I'd like to have lunch with you and talk to you. Oh, man. He did not prance around on a stage in designer jeans wearing a $1,500 show sneakers. Did not have light shows and bands. He did not have mani-pedis, scraggly hair, and he was middle-aged. And it's his name that we remember as he shared with us an ancient tradition long before he came along of taking simple bread and simple cup and saying, welcome. Welcome. And so, even though we are at Zoom and we are far from each other physically, emotionally and spiritually, we are not. We are here together. And in the sense of all of those who have gone before and all of those who have gone after, who are poor, neglected, unloved, forgotten, those who have no place to go, we offer you bread and cup and remind you, you are always welcome here. This is not a museum of saints. It is not a museum of the perfect. We are a gathering of basic, simple folk, each with our own messes, our own hurts, but we come together. We love, we affirm, and we welcome you. The words we share together as we hold hands symbolically are, and if you'd repeat them after me, promise me you'll remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. God didn't promise days without pain, laughter without sorrows, sun without rain. But the divine did promise strength for the day, comfort for the tears, and light for the way. Our concluding prayer.
May those who perpetually pour receive. May those who constantly carry discover what it feels like to be supported. May those hidden behind walls of silence find safe places to speak. May those who fight for others encounter those who will fight for you.
And now may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and may the rains fall softly upon your fields. And when we meet again, may the divine in me greet and embrace the divine in you. Go in peace. Amen. Let me say thank you all here today for everybody who was here. Rick and Judy, Grimmy the Great, Michelle and Mark, Dennis Walcott from Port St. Lucie, Andrea, who's joined our staff now, Ray Roldan of Cat fame, from Washington Heights, Maureen Sullivan, Pat Sullivan. Why are you wearing, it's free, it's hotter than blazes, and you're wearing are you freezing in New York?
New York is actually a nice day today. It's in the
No.
upper 70s.
Oh,
I'm not cold. I just enjoy being surrounded by fluffy softness.
okay, fluffy softness it is.
I just have to give a shout out to Donald Grimmy, because on the days that we can't be with you, sometimes we venture into the videos of some other Unitarian congregations. And let me tell you, their tech is not quite as on point as Donald's. You
No
know,
way.
we have a hard time following the service. The video is interrupted. We're like, what are we looking at here? So,
Yeah.
you know, you don't know how good we have it with Donald. You know, so give him some respect due. All right, peeps?
May you grow hair.
Thank you, Kenneth, for all of your involvement and your activism. You are an example to all of us.
Well, actually, thank you, Amelia, but I think the congregation will all help each other out. We've got a great bench here. Bobby Vance, good morning to you from Kissimmee. Chet is with us here from my classmate is here from Miami. Karen Paul is from Coral Gables. Danny Sorkin in New York. Serge Cruz in the wilds of Sedona. Pack and Care here in Miami. Alan and Eddie here in Miami. Mark is, many of you may have forgotten Mark. Mark is a nurse. He was one of our original members and still is with us all these years later. He is a nurse in children's pediatric wards and is an incredible caring person, especially for the parents and babies going through ultimate stress and health. Cindy and Larry Deach from Port Orange, Amelia Schweitzer, 10 miles west of Merritt Island, Cecilia Alessandro down the street, Chris Diaz from North Miami, who also works at Baptist as well. Good morning to you all. Good morning. Thank you for being here. That means we've got Larry and Andrea and Michelle, whom you'll be hearing with regularly. And unfortunately for them, they have to put up with me annoying them on a daily basis. Yes. Pat's enjoying that to no end. Be safe and be well. I'm sending out a thing already on who's going to be asking who's going to want to speak and share. And as soon as I've got that, we've got a full boat coming up through January. And let me remind you that while assisting and reading and helping each other out, we always need readers, So anytime you want to read, just let me know and we're off and running. Thank you.
We
And
can't
Blow
lose
the
Bobby
candle to
Vance.
Bobby Vance. No, we can't. He
Can't
should
what?
just read all the time.
Yes, I second.
excuse me, Saint Vance. Saint
Is that
Vance.
even legal?
You what?
Is that even legal?
Of course
Can you
it's
do
not
that?
legal.
That's not.
Of course it's not legal. Since when has that been a problem?
No, you guys just have so inspirational is all that me and Pat can say.
I'm here.
You know, you
Come here.
literally take us to church in a whole different way. So please keep volunteering to read.
There she is. Carrie, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
We're good. We're good. We've just elected you to be the, the readers for, forever because you inspire us so much.
Okay, forever, huh?
Well, forever and a day, minus a day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. All right, everybody. Blessings to you all. The 10th is coming right around the corner, and we've got a full boat. And Bobby and Carrie, I'm sorry, you heard the word. You heard the truth. You heard the truth. All right, everybody. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Toodaloo.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks again, Donald. You're the best.
Thanks again, Donald. Yep, you're the best.
Grow hair.
He doesn't need to grow hair. He's still the best.
I know, but I have to say that. I don't mean it too, He and I have this thing going all the time. You know that.
Yeah, we know it.
All right. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.